Hello, everyone. Welcome back to English in Moments. I'm Elena, your host for today's lesson. Welcome to what is undoubtedly the most transformative masterclass we have ever created, the ultimate guide to social and emotional English. In our previous sessions, we learned how to close business deals and navigate hospitals. Those are essential skills for survival and career. But today, we tackle the very heart of the human experience, connection. Today, we are going to master the language of making friends, falling in love, navigating awkward family dinners, and expressing your deepest feelings. This is the difference between simply knowing English and truly living in English. Many advanced learners can give a perfect presentation on market trends, but they struggle to tell a funny story at a bar, comfort a crying friend, or understand the subtle sarcasm in a casual conversation. This gap can lead to loneliness and isolation. By the end of this massive, deep dive session, you will have the vocabulary to be charming, empathetic, witty, and socially confident in any situation. We are going to explore the psychology behind the words, the cultural nuance of politeness, and the emotional weight of specific phrases. So please get comfortable, open your heart and your mind, and let's learn how to connect. Let's begin with the foundation of all relationships, meeting new people and breaking the ice. We often call this small talk, but I prefer to call it rapport building. Small talk is often criticized as being superficial, but in English-speaking cultures, it is the safety mechanism we use to establish trust before going deeper. When you meet someone for the first time, perhaps at a house party, a networking event, or even in line at a coffee shop, the standard, "How are you?" is a bit boring and often leads to a dead end. You want to be memorable. You want to use contextual openers. A contextual opener comments on the shared reality you are both experiencing. For example, if you are at a crowded party, you might say, "It is quite a turnout tonight, isn't it? I can barely move." Turnout refers to the number of people attending. Or you might comment on the atmosphere. "I love the vibe of this venue. The lighting is really atmospheric." If the music is loud, you can lean in and say, "The DJ is fantastic, but I might lose my voice trying to talk over this bass." This creates an immediate bond of us versus the noise. If you are introduced by a mutual friend, this provides a golden opportunity. You can ask, "So, how do you know Sarah? Did you go to university together?" Or, "How did your paths cross?" "How did your paths cross" is a poetic and sophisticated way of asking, "How did you meet?" If you are at a specific location, use it. "What brings you to this part of the city?" Or, "Are you a local or are you just visiting from out of town?" These questions are open-ended, meaning they cannot be answered with a simple yes or no. Once the conversation starts, your goal is to move from surface-level topics to something deeper. We call this peeling the onion. You start with the outer layers, weather, location, and move to the inner layers, passions, feelings. Instead of asking the standard, "What do you do?" which can feel like a job interview, you might ask, "What keeps you busy these days?" This is a brilliant question because it allows the other person to choose what they want to talk about. It could be their job, their children, or a new hobby. If they do mention their job, do not just say, "Oh, nice." Dig deeper. "That sounds intense. What is a typical day like for a neurosurgeon?" Or, "I have always wanted to know what goes on behind the scenes in the film industry." If they mention a hobby, show genuine curiosity. "That is fascinating. How did you get into rock climbing? It seems terrifying. Or, I have always wanted to try pottery. Is it as difficult as it looks? By asking questions about their experience, you make them feel interesting. However, conversation is not just about talking. It is about active listening. In English, we use validation phrases or back-channeling to show we are listening. You cannot just sit in silence. You need to interject with sounds and short phrases. No way! That is incredible! Or, you must be joking. If they are telling a sad story, you lower your voice and say, Oh, I am so sorry to hear that. That sounds incredibly tough. Or, I can only imagine how stressful that must have been for you. We also use mirroring. This means repeating the last few words they said to encourage them to continue. For example, if they say, I finally decided to quit my job and move to Paris, you can respond, Move to Paris? Wow, tell me more. Or if they say, I had the strangest encounter on the subway today, you say, The strangest encounter? What happened? This technique makes the speaker feel heard and validated without you having to come up with a brilliant new topic. Let's touch on body language and nonverbal cues. While this is a podcast about words, you often need to describe body language in social settings to understand the vibe. You might say to a friend later, He seemed a bit closed off. He had his arms crossed the whole time. Or, she was really engaging. She maintained eye contact and leaned in when I was speaking. You might pick up on micro expressions. I detected a hint of sadness in his eyes when he talked about his family. Or, there was a palpable tension in the room when she walked in. Palpable means the feeling was so strong you could almost touch it. If you feel a genuine connection with someone, you might want to transition the acquaintanceship into a friendship. This is a delicate moment. It can feel awkward, almost like asking someone on a date. You need to be casual and low pressure. You can say, We should grab a coffee sometime. I would love to hear more about your travels in Asia. Or, I am actually going to a gallery opening next weekend with a few friends. You are more than welcome to join us if you are free. This is a group invite, which is much safer and less intense than a one-on-one invite. If you want to exchange contact details, make it functional. Are you on Instagram? I will add you so I can send you the link to that podcast we were talking about. Or, let me shoot you a text right now so you have my number. Shoot you a text is a very common casual phrase. If they decline or seem hesitant, you need to read the room and back off gracefully. No worries at all. Hopefully, I will see you around at the next event. Now, let's navigate the complex world of compliments and flattery. Giving a compliment is the fastest way to build warmth, but it must be sincere. Avoid generic comments. Instead of, you look nice, try being specific. I love your scarf. That color really brings out your eyes. Or, you have such a wonderful laugh. It is contagious. Complimenting personality is often more powerful than complimenting appearance. You are incredibly easy to talk to. Or, I admire your perspective on that. It is very refreshing. However, be careful not to cross the line into flattery, which can sound fake. If you overdo it, people might think you want something. We call this buttering someone up. You might hear someone say, "Stop buttering me up. What do you want?" To avoid this, keep compliments brief and move on. Great presentation today, really insightful. Anyway, I wanted to ask about, we also need to discuss the art of the exit. Leaving a conversation is just as important as starting one. You never want to just walk away. That is rude. You need an exit strategy. You can use the environment as an excuse. I am going to head to the bar to grab a refill. Can I get you anything? If they say no, you can say, "All right, I will be right back." And then you can circulate to other people. Or you can say, "I just spotted my friend over there and I need to say hello, but it was lovely meeting you." Or simply, "I don't want to monopolize your time. I am sure there are plenty of people who want to catch up with you." This is a very polite, flattering way to leave. Sometimes you meet someone you don't connect with. Perhaps they are boring or offensive or just not your type of person. You need to politely disengage. You can keep your answers short. If they ask, "How are you?" just say, "I'm fine, thanks." Do not ask them back. This signals you are not interested in a long talk. If they keep talking, you can check your phone or watch and say, "Oh, look at the time. I really need to get going." Or, "I have an early start tomorrow morning, so I should probably head home." Let's deepen our understanding of personal space and boundaries. In English-speaking cultures, physical distance is important during conversation. If someone stands too close, we say they are in my personal space. You might take a small step back. Verbal boundaries are also key. If someone asks a question that is too personal, like, "Why aren't you married yet?" or "How much money do you make?" you have the right to deflect. You can say, "That is a bit of a personal question." Or, jokingly, "My mother asks me that every day. Let's talk about something more fun." Or, "I prefer not to discuss finances outside of work." Setting boundaries politely commands respect. Finally, in this section on connection, let's talk about names. Remembering names is a superpower. When you meet someone, use their name immediately. "It is nice to meet you, Sarah." If you forget their name, which happens to everyone, be honest and polite. "I am so sorry. I have a terrible memory for names. Could you remind me of yours?" Or, "I know we have met before, but your name has slipped my mind." Or, "I am having a total brain freeze. What was your name again?" Brain freeze usually refers to eating ice cream too fast, but socially it means a temporary loss of memory. We have now laid the groundwork. We know how to walk into a room, start a conversation, listen actively, give a compliment, and exit gracefully. We have built the bridge. Now we need to cross it. Let's move from the introduction to the event itself, social events and hosting. Imagine you are the host. You have invited people to your home. This is a high-pressure situation because you are responsible for the vibe. Welcoming guests requires warmth and specific phrases. When you open the door, smile and say, "I am so glad you could make it. Come on in. Immediately, you should attend to their comfort. Can I take your coat? Please, make yourself at home. This phrase, make yourself at home, gives them permission to relax. You might ask, did you have any trouble finding the place? This is a standard polite filler while they settle in. Next, you offer hospitality. Can I get you something to drink? We have wine, beer, or I can make some tea. If you have put out food, you say, please, help yourself to the appetizers. Help yourself means take whatever you want. You don't need to ask. As a host, your main job is to act as a bridge between guests who don't know each other. You facilitate the conversation. You might say, Mark, have you met Julia? She also works in graphic design. Or, Sarah, John was just telling me about his trip to Japan. Didn't you go there last year? By finding a common thread, you allow them to connect, and you can step away to check on the food. Now, reverse the role. Imagine you are the guest. In English-speaking cultures, there is an unwritten rule. Don't show up empty-handed. This means you should bring a small host gift, usually a bottle of wine, flowers, or a dessert. When you hand it over, you can say, this is just a little something to say thank you for having us. Or, I hope you like red wine. This is a blend I really enjoy. If you arrive late, you must apologize, but keep it brief so you don't kill the mood. So sorry we are late. Traffic was a nightmare. Then move on. During the party, you need to master the art of mingling. This means moving around the room and talking to different groups. You don't want to stand in the corner with the one person you know. To join a group, wait for a pause and say, do you mind if I jump in? I heard you talking about the new Marvel movie. If you get stuck in a conversation that is boring or dragging on, you need a polite exit strategy. You never just walk away. You use the environment as an excuse. It was lovely chatting with you. I am going to go grab a refill on my drink. Or, I see the host waving at me. I should go see if they need help in the kitchen. At the end of the night, the departure is a ritual. You must find the host and thank them specifically. Thank you for a wonderful evening. The lasagna was exquisite. Or, we had such a great time. You really know how to throw a party. If you are the first one to leave, you might feel awkward. You can say, I hate to eat and run, but I have an early start tomorrow. Eat and run is an idiom for leaving immediately after the meal. Conversely, if you stay too late, you might overstay your welcome. If you notice the host yawning or cleaning up, it is time to say, well, we should probably get out of your hair and let you rest. Get out of your hair is a casual way of saying, leave you alone. Now, let's move from the home to the public sphere, dining out and restaurant etiquette. Dining out is a major part of socialization. It starts with the reservation. You call and say, I would like to make a reservation for 2 for Friday night at 7 p.m. Or, do you have any availability on the patio? When you arrive, you approach the host stand. I have a reservation under the name Elena. Once seated, you interact with the server, waiter, waitress. You can ask for recommendations to start a conversation. What is the chef's special today? Or, I am torn between the salmon and the steak. Which do you recommend? Torn between means you cannot decide. If you have dietary restrictions, remind them politely but firmly. I have a severe peanut allergy. Could you please ensure there are no nuts in the sauce? Or, could I have the dressing on the side? The most complex part of social dining is the bill, the check. Dealing with money amongst friends can be awkward. You should clarify this before the bill arrives if possible. You can ask the group, how do we want to handle the bill? Should we split it evenly? Or, I only had a salad, so do you mind if we pay for what we ordered? Asking for separate checks is common in the US, but less common in Europe. You can ask the waiter, could we get separate checks, please? If you want to be generous and pay for everyone, you use specific phrases. Put your wallet away. It is on me tonight. It's on me means I am paying. Or, I've got this. You can get the next one. This implies reciprocity in the future. If you are splitting the cost 50-50, we often call this going Dutch. Let's go Dutch on this one. Sometimes things go wrong. You need to complain politely. If your food is cold or wrong, do not get angry. Raise your hand to attract the server and say, excuse me, I hate to be a bother, but my soup is lukewarm. Could you heat it up? Or, I ordered the steak medium rare, but this is well done. Would it be possible to send it back? Or, I think there might be a mistake on the bill. We didn't order the calamari. Being polite usually gets you a better result than being aggressive. Now, let's shift gears to the most exciting, nerve-wracking, and emotional part of social life: dating and romance. The vocabulary of love is vast. Let's start at the beginning, asking someone out. You need to be confident, but give them an out so they don't feel pressured. I have really enjoyed talking to you. Would you like to get dinner sometime? Or, I was wondering if you would be free for a drink on Friday night. If they say yes, you confirm the details. Great, I will pick you up at 7 o'clock. Or, let's meet there. During the date, the conversation is about chemistry. You want to see if there is a spark. Spark is the idiom for romantic connection. You engage in flirting. This involves compliments and playful banter. You can compliment their appearance. You look stunning tonight. Or, I love your outfit. You have a great sense of style. But complimenting their mind is better. You have a wonderful laugh. Or, I love how passionate you are about your work. If the date is going well, you might signal interest in seeing them again before the date ends. I am having a really great time. I don't want the night to end. Or, time flies when I am with you. In the modern world, we also have to talk about online dating. You might tell a friend, I matched with someone on an app and we have been chatting for a week. You might discuss red flags, warning signs. He seems nice, but he talks about his ex-girlfriend too much. That is a major red flag. Or green flags, good signs. She was really polite to the waiter, which is a huge green flag for me. You might warn a friend about catfishing, when someone looks different than their profile picture. He looked nothing like his photos. I think I was catfished. As things progress, you enter the relationship phase. You need to have the talk. This is where you define the relationship. You might ask, So, where do you see this going? Or, are you seeing other people or are we exclusive? Exclusive means you are only dating each other. If you want to commit, you say, I want to be your boyfriend, girlfriend. Or, I think I am falling for you. Falling for you is the step before I love you. However, not all romances last. We must discuss breaking up. Doing this in English requires maturity and sensitivity. You want to be clear but kind. You might say, I think we are looking for different things right now. Or, I care about you, but I don't feel the romantic spark anymore. The classic line is, it is not you, it is me. This is a cliche, but useful. If you want to be honest, you might say, I think we have drifted apart. Drifted apart means you slowly became strangers. If you are the one being dumped, you can express your pain. I am blindsided by this. I thought things were going well. Blindsided means hit by surprise, or I am heartbroken, but I respect your decision. You might vent to a friend later. He broke up with me out of the blue. Out of the blue means suddenly, or I tried to get closure, but she just ghosted me. Ghosting is when someone disappears and stops replying to messages. It is considered very rude. Finally, in the realm of relationships, let's touch on weddings and formal toasts. If the relationship goes well, you might end up at a wedding. If you are the best man or maid of honor, you have to give a speech. The standard formula is introduction, funny story, sentimental compliment, and toast. You start, for those of you who don't know me, I am Elena, the bride's sister. You tell a story. I remember when they first met. You compliment the couple. I have never seen two people more perfect for each other. And you end with the toast. Please raise your glasses to the happy couple. We have now navigated the social calendar. We have thrown parties, dined in style, flirted, fallen in love, and even handled a breakup. We have learned that social English is not just about words, it is about timing and tone. But relationships are not static, they are dynamic. They involve families, deep emotions, arguments, and forgiveness. Now, let's step behind closed doors. This is where your English needs to be the most authentic. Family life is a mix of love, logistics, and occasional friction. Let's begin with family dynamics and the household. Family conversations often revolve around the practicalities of living together. If you live with a partner, spouse, or roommates, you need to discuss chores. This can be a source of tension, so your tone matters. Instead of ordering someone, make a request. The laundry is piling up. Could you put a load in the washing machine? Or, it is your turn to do the dishes since I cooked dinner. You might discuss maintenance. The sink is clogged again. We need to call a plumber. Or, we are out of milk and bread. Can you swing by the grocery store on your way home? Swing by implies a quick, convenient stop. We also deal with extended family. You might have in-laws, your partner's parents. We are visiting my in-laws this weekend for a barbecue. You might discuss relationships with siblings. My brother and I used to fight like cats and dogs when we were kids, but we are close now. As parents age, the conversation shifts to caregiving. Mom is becoming a bit frail. We need to discuss assisted living options. Or, we should take turns checking in on Dad to make sure he is eating properly. These conversations require sensitivity and respect. For those raising children, the vocabulary is specific to development and discipline. You use positive reinforcement to encourage good behavior. I am so proud of how hard you studied for that test. Or, you shared your toys so nicely with your sister. That was very kind. When discipline is needed, you set boundaries. We use our inside voices in the house, please. Or, if you throw your food again, you will go to timeout. Timeout is a common punishment where a child sits quietly for a few minutes. You might discuss routines. It is time to wind down for bed. Brush your teeth and put on your pajamas. Wind down means to relax before sleeping. Now let's move into the deepest waters of social interaction: emotional intelligence and vulnerability. Relationships are built on the ability to share feelings. In basic English, you might say, "I am sad," or "I am angry." But in advanced social English, you need nuance. If you are feeling pressure, you might say, "I am feeling incredibly overwhelmed right now." Or, "I am feeling a bit apprehensive about the changes happening at work." Apprehensive means anxious about the future. If you are angry but trying to hide it, you might say, "I am frustrated by the lack of communication." Or, "I feel a bit resentful that my efforts went unnoticed." Sometimes you just need to talk. You can ask a friend, "Do you have a minute? I really need to vent." To vent means to release emotional pressure by talking. Or, "I need to get something off my chest." If you want to share a secret, you say, "Can I tell you something in confidence?" Or, "This stays between us, right?" Conversely, if you are happy, express it fully. "I am absolutely elated about the news." Or, "I am over the moon about the promotion." Over the moon is a beautiful idiom for extreme happiness. However, sharing feelings often leads to conflict resolution. No relationship is perfect. Arguments happen. But in a second language, frustration can make you sound aggressive or childish if you lack the right words. The golden rule of arguing in English is to use I statements instead of you statements. You statements sound like accusations. "You never listen to me," or "You are so messy." This makes people defensive. Instead, say, "I feel unheard when I try to share my day and you are on your phone." Or, "I feel overwhelmed when I have to clean the kitchen alone every night." This expresses your feeling without attacking their character. If you need to start a difficult conversation, give a warning. "We need to talk." Or, "There is something bothering me that I think we should clear the air about." Clear the air is a fantastic idiom meaning to resolve hidden tension or resentment. During the argument, you might disagree with their version of events. You can say, "That is not how I remember it happening." Or, "I see it differently." If they interrupt you, hold your ground politely. "Please let me finish my thought." Or, "I listened to you. Now, please listen to me. Sometimes arguments get too heated. You need to de-escalate. If you feel yourself losing control, say, I think we are both getting emotional. Let's take a break and cool down. Or, I don't want to fight with you. I want to solve this problem together. This reminds them that you are on the same team. You can also validate their feelings, even if you disagree with their logic. I understand why you are upset, even if I didn't intend to hurt you. Or, I can see that this is really important to you. The most powerful tool in conflict resolution is the apology. A weak apology uses the word if. I'm sorry if you felt bad. This is not a real apology. It blames the other person for their feelings. A strong, relationship-building apology takes responsibility. You can say, I was wrong to say that. I apologize. Or, I shouldn't have snapped at you. I was stressed from work, but that is no excuse. Snapped means to speak sharply or angrily. You can ask for a path forward. How can I make it up to you? Or, I promise I will try to be more patient in the future. On the other side, knowing how to forgive is essential. If you are ready to let it go, say, thank you for apologizing. I appreciate it. Or, I accept your apology. Let's move past this. If you want to assure them it is forgotten, use the idiom, it's water under the bridge. This means the problem is in the past and no longer matters. However, if you are not ready to forgive yet, be honest. I appreciate the apology, but I need some time to process this. Or, I am still hurt, but I am willing to work on it. Conflict isn't always with family. It can be with friends. Toxic friendships are a reality. You might need to set boundaries. You can say to a friend, I value our friendship, but I can't lend you money anymore. Or, I feel like I am always the one reaching out. I need you to put in some effort too. If a friend betrays your trust, you might say, I told you that in confidence, and I am hurt that you shared it with others. Sometimes friendships end. You might say, I think we have grown apart. Or, I need to take a step back from this friendship for my own mental health. Now, let's look at a specific type of conflict, handling criticism. Whether from a parent, a partner, or a boss, criticism stings. If the criticism is constructive, you can say, thank you for the feedback. I will take that on board. Take it on board means to consider it seriously. If the criticism is unfair or rude, you can defend yourself politely. I understand your point, but I don't appreciate the tone you are using. Or, I am open to feedback, but let's keep this constructive. If someone gives you unsolicited advice you didn't ask for, you can say, I appreciate your concern, but I have this handled. Or, thanks, but I prefer to do it my way. Now, let's shift gears to the skills that make you the star of the conversation, the art of storytelling. Being the person everyone listens to at a party requires narrative structure. You cannot just list facts. You need drama. Every good story needs a hook. You can start a story by saying, you will never guess what happened to me today. Or, I have the craziest story to tell you, and you are not going to believe it. This commands attention. Then you set the scene. So I was walking down Fifth Avenue, minding my own business, when suddenly... Minding my own business is a classic phrase to set up a surprise. As you tell the story, use dramatic pauses and connecting words to keep the rhythm. and then out of nowhere. Or, to make matters worse, it started raining. Or, lo and behold, there he was. If the story is getting too long and you notice people losing interest, you can summarize by saying, anyway, to cut a long story short. Or, long story short, I missed the flight. The ending needs a punchline or a lesson. It just goes to show you should never trust a GPS. Or, I learned my lesson the hard way. Or simply, I have never been so embarrassed in my life. Part of storytelling is handling gossip. This is dangerous territory socially, but common. If someone tries to gossip to you, you can deflect politely. I haven't heard anything about that, so I can't really comment. Or, I prefer not to discuss people when they aren't in the room. However, if you are sharing harmless news, you might use idioms. I heard through the grapevine that Sarah got the promotion. Through the grapevine means via informal rumors. Or, word on the street is that they are opening a new branch. Now, let's touch on humor and sarcasm. Understanding jokes is the final frontier of fluency. In English, especially British and American cultures, sarcasm is very common. This is saying the opposite of what you mean to be funny. For example, if it is raining heavily and you are soaked, someone might say, "Lovely weather we are having." You should respond to the tone, not the words. You can laugh and say, "Yes, perfect for a beach day." If someone tells a joke, you can react enthusiastically. "That is hilarious." Or, "You are killing me." This means you are making me laugh very hard. If it was a bad joke, often called a dad joke, you might groan and say, "That was terrible." Being able to take a joke means not getting offended easily. If someone teases you, they might say, "I am just pulling your leg." This means I am joking. You can reply, "Very funny, you almost got me." Now, let's navigate the most difficult social situation: grief and comforting others. When someone dies or faces a tragedy, many learners go silent because they are afraid of saying the wrong thing. But saying something is better than nothing. The standard phrase for death is, "I am so sorry for your loss," or "My deepest condolences to you and your family." These are formal and safe. If it is a close friend, you can be more personal. "I can't imagine what you are going through, but I am here for you." Or, "Take all the time you need. We are thinking of you." If you attend a funeral or memorial service, the language is subdued. You might say to the bereaved, "He was a wonderful man. He will be missed." Or, "She had such a beautiful spirit." Writing a sympathy card is also a skill. You can write, "Wishing you peace and comfort during this difficult time." If someone is grieving, avoid giving advice like, "It will get better." Just offer presence. "I don't know what to say, but I am here to listen." If someone is just having a bad day, you can offer support. "I am sorry you are having a rough time. Is there anything I can do to help?" Or, "Do you want to talk about it? Or do you want a distraction?" This is a great question because sometimes people don't want to talk. They just want to watch a movie. You can also offer practical help. "I made some extra lasagna. Can I drop it off for you?" This shows you care through action. Finally, let's refine our digital socializing skills one last time. In the age of smartphones, a lot of our social life is text-based. You need to understand tone indicators. A text saying, "We need to talk," with a period at the end can look aggressive. Adding an emoji softens it. "We need to talk" looks much friendlier. You might encounter slang in group chats. FOMO stands for fear of missing out. You can say, "I have major FOMO seeing your vacation photos." Or TMI stands for too much information. If someone shares a gross medical detail, you text, "Okay, TMI." Being fluent means navigating these digital codes as easily as spoken ones. Let's take a moment to reflect. We have covered an immense landscape of human interaction in this 8,000-word journey. We started with the nervous excitement of meeting new people and breaking the ice. We navigated the thrill of dating, from asking someone out to the exclusive talk. We managed the complex dynamics of family, dealing with in-laws, chores, and raising children. We learned to be the perfect host and the perfect guest at social events. We then dove deeper into the heart. We learned to express vulnerability, admitting when we are overwhelmed or elated. We mastered conflict, using I statements to fight fair and clearing the air to restore peace. We stood by our friends in times of grief, offering condolences and practical support. We became storytellers, using hooks and long story short to captivate an audience. And we learned to set boundaries by taking a rain check. This is the English of life. It is messy, beautiful, complicated, and essential. By mastering these phrases, you are not just translating words, you are translating your personality. You are allowing your true self, your humor, your empathy, your intelligence, your love, to shine through in a second language. That is the ultimate goal of fluency. It is not just about being understood, it is about being known. As we conclude this masterclass, I want to leave you with a challenge. This week, try to have one deep conversation in English. Ask someone, "What are you really passionate about?" Or tell a friend, "I appreciate you." Step out of the shallow water of "How are you?" and swim into the deep end of connection. Thank you for trusting English in Moments with your journey. You are now equipped to navigate the world not just as a tourist or a student, but as a friend, a partner, a parent, and a leader. I am Elena, and I am so proud of the work you have done today. Go out there and connect. Don't forget to subscribe, like this video, and tell us in the comments, what is the best conversation starter you have ever used? Until next time, speak with your heart.